Anytime Green Day drops a new album, it's worth checking out. In recent years, they've released albums with some great individual songs on them, but the albums themselves haven't been quite as memorable as ones earlier in their career. Does this new one bring them back to their heyday, or are they just running on fumes at this point? Hi everyone, I'm Paul Crayson and you're watching Music Mentions. Today, I'll be doing a deep dive review of Green Day's brand new album called Saviors. Unlike most reviewers on YouTube, I like to go a little further into the album than just a quick 5-minute hot take because as a music fan, I really appreciate a more thorough analysis like this. I hope you do too. I'll briefly discuss who Green Day are, then go through some quick album notes, the track listing, some song lengths, explore the album title and the cover, followed by some general album observations, and then we'll dive right into the songs themselves. I'll give a final rating towards the end of this video. So who is Green Day? Well, believe it or not, Green Day is a band that originally started back in the late 80s, about 35 years ago in the East Bay area of California near San Francisco. By the way, their name, Green Day, comes from a fondness for cannabis. They're a world-famous punk pop / power pop band with 3 members. They rose to fame with their seminal album, Dookie, which was released 30 years ago in 1994. Dookie was their 3rd album, but their first major label debut. 10 years later, in 2004, they released the monster American Idiot, which for me is their masterpiece. Green Day has sold around 75 million albums worldwide at this point, and they're known for their high-energy live shows and their ability to engage with their audiences at these shows. Billy Joe Armstrong is really kind of the leader here. He's 51 years old. He's the main lyricist, primary songwriter. He's the lead singer and the guitarist. Mike Dirnt, he's also 51 years old. He's the band's bassist and helps with some of the songwriting and background vocals as well. Billy Joe and Mike actually met and became friends all the way back in elementary school. And then we have Trey Cool. Just like Billy Joe and Mike, he's also 51 years old. He plays the drums and percussion, helps also with some of the songwriting. He joined the band back in 1990. For my money, Trey Cool is just one of the best drummers in this punky musical style. This boy can seriously play the drums. So here are some quick album notes. Saviors was released on January 19th of 2024. It's Green Day's 14th full studio album of original material, and it follows their previous release from 2020 titled Father of All Motherfuckers. Saviors was produced by Rob Cavallo, who is one of the biggest selling producers in music history. He produced both the Dookie and the American Idiot records, but several others for the band as well. The album was recorded in LA and in London between 2020 and 2023. Let's switch over to the track listing and take a look at some of the lengths. So we've got 15 songs on this album. Fancy Sauce is the last song. It happens to be the longest at 4 minutes and 1 second. And then the shortest song is called Look Ma, No Brains, running just over 2 minutes. The total album length is around 46 minutes. Let's quickly switch over to the album title and the cover. The album title is Saviors. It's named after a song on the record. It's quite an arrogant title for a band to come up with, like, we're here with this album to save everyone. But it also is a pretty punk title, and if you notice, Saviors is deliberately in quotes. So it's obvious that Green Day is winking at us with this title, and we shouldn't probably take it too seriously. The title's attitude is more like, we're here to save everyone. Just kidding. Based on the lyrics from the song Saviors, however, It can also be interpreted as hoping that somebody or somebodies will come to save us. Another interpretation is that those that we hope will save us, specifically politicians, actually are the cause of the chaos, hardship, and the destruction in our lives. The album cover shows a kid named Paul Kennedy smiling and holding a rock at Falls Road in Belfast, Northern Ireland. This was during a riot back in 1978. The image also includes a moving car and a burning garbage pile in the background. The photo was taken by a famous photographer named Chris Steele Perkins. It's a striking image because you'd expect this kid to be doing anything other than smiling like he's having a great time. It's quite the dichotomy, but my interpretation is that the cover fits the vibe of the record quite well. The music is fun and will make you smile, but some of the lyrical content will make you think the world is on fire at the same time. Some general album observations, and then we'll dive into the songs. The recording quality here is great for this type of an album. However, there is a lot of compression, like most rock albums these days. But everything is nonetheless well balanced. The power chords all sound fantastic, and I think the background vocals all uniformly sound wonderful. I listened to this album on repeat in preparation for this review, and I didn't really get any ear fatigue. But this album is hot in a sonic sense, just so you guys know. The vibe of this album is what you'd expect from a Green Day release. It's short, high energy, punk-flavored tunes in rapid order with a few slowdowns for pacing. It's very melodic and punchy. I also have to mention that the sequencing of the album is really well done, and it flows extremely well, balancing the rocking parts with the mellower ones brilliantly when you listen to it all the way through in the intended order. There were 5 songs that were released as singles before the album itself was released. So let's dive into the first song. The American Dream is Killing Me. This was the first single. The song starts off with an almost military-type vibe, then plunges straight into the chorus, which is Here. This is probably the most overtly political song on Saviors. The instant analogy you'll make is with the song American Idiot. It's got kind of the same sentiment as well. Here, America is so screwed up that the American dream is not just a distant memory, but instead, just trying to pursue it, it will now kill you. Also, like American Idiot, it's full of grievances but doesn't present any remedies. Like many punk songs, it's about expressing anger and frustration with raw energy and power, and it doesn't pretend to have more of a purpose than simply that. Here's a pre-chorus and the verse that follows it. Kind of says it all, doesn't it? I'm not one that will argue with this reality these days. America can certainly do better for all of its citizens, not just the top 1%. Trey Cool maintains this quick galloping beat throughout this tune. Check it out when you're listening to this one. It's a subtle thing, but it's also the thing that makes the song propulsive and forceful as it is. Trey knows what he's doing here. American Dream is a memorable tune, and you'll find yourself singing it, but it doesn't stand on the same podium with American Idiot. American Idiot is a far superior song. Song number 2 is called Look Ma, No Brains. This was the second single that was released. This song is a straight-ahead, speedy punk rocker. It's a very traditional Green Day type song that would not have been out of place on some of their initial albums. It's very catchy, it's very fast, and pretty damn short at about 2 minutes. Reading the chorus here, essentially the song is about someone singing about how stupid they are and that they're too far gone and that they're kind of proud of their arrogance. The music supports this feeling of almost a celebration of idiocy. There's a nice diversion into a bridge later in the song, but otherwise not much else to say about this one, other than it's another one you'll be singing along to after just a few spins. Song number 3 is called Bobby Socks. This was the 5th single released the day just before the album was released. This song slows the pace down a little bit. It starts out with just Billy Joe singing along to an acoustic guitar, which happens a lot on this album. Then the chorus hits with some power and energy and these ooh, ooh, ooh type background vocals. It's a pretty dynamic sounding song with the quiet, loud, quiet thing going on. If you told me that this was a cover of a Pixies or a Nirvana tune, I wouldn't have blinked an eye. The lyrical content is the most intriguing thing about this song, where he changes back and forth the lines, do you want to be my girlfriend, then do you want to be my boyfriend, throughout the song. So it's pretty clear he's playing around with some gender fluidity here. Billy Joe's a strong supporter of the LGBTQ community, so this is not terribly surprising. I imagine this community will embrace this song in short order. The melody here is good. It's not a standout track, but it's not one to skip over either. Song number 4 is called One-Eyed Bastard. This was the 4th single. At this point in music history, we're all used to bands borrowing or recontextualizing melodies and progressions from other bands or artists. The guitar line on this one is straight from the song So What by Pink, and Pink probably got it off some other artist. It sounds extremely familiar. So is this necessarily a bad thing? I don't think so, because I think in this case, the pilfered guitar line is recontextualized into one of the stronger songs on the album. I really like this tune. The singing is exceptionally strong, and I love the simple chorus of bada bing, bada bang, bada boom. But the best part of the song is the pre-chorus you see here. Vendetta is a friend of mine. Revenge is sweeter than wine. I never asked to hear your goddamn feelings. Get on your knees when you are kissing my ring. The melody on this pre-chorus just kicks ass. I absolutely love it. This song is about getting back at someone. It's a revenge tune, but we don't know what this someone did to piss off Billy Joe so much. Regardless of the pinched guitar line, I dig this tune. It's impossible to not sing along to it. Plus, the guitars sound mega, as they would say in the UK. Song number 5 is called Dilemma. This was the 3rd single. The song starts off with just Billy Joe and his guitar before firing into the chorus. Kind of similar approach as Bobby Socks. This song, for me, sounds like it could have come straight off American Idiot. The singing again is solid, as is the melody. Billy Joe, now sober, has said this is a very personal song for him. He had his drinking problems and stint in rehab in the past, and this song is about his continued struggle and the dilemma around that. This context gives the song some weight and power. Here's the first verse and the chorus. Welcome to my problems. It's not an invitation. This is my dilemma and it's my obsession. I was sober, now I'm drunk again. I'm in trouble and in love again. I don't want to be a dead man walking. I don't want to be a dead man walking. That chorus is quite memorable and sticky. Hard not to sing along with this one, as usual. It's a great tune. Song number 6 is called 1981. This is a short tune at about 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Like Look Ma No Brains, it also has a fast tempo and a very punk feel. I really like the sense of propulsion on this song. It's a great driving tune. The song starts with the chorus, which is just the line, she's gonna bang her head like 1981, repeated several times. The way the song begins and ends lends the song the sense of never ending if you just hit repeat on it. Try this, and you'll know what I'm talking about. It's a cool little geeky music trick. It's the aural equivalent of an infinity ribbon. Here's the second verse. Crimes from another time, champagne and party lines, God bless the end of times, pain, commies, and cocaine, slam dance and acid rain, we lived the dream for 15 minutes of fame. Basically, the song contains references to things that would have been in the zeitgeist back in the early 1980s. The melodies throughout are great. Another solid tune. Song number 7 is called Goodnight Adeline. This song brings the tempo down a bit. Another tune that starts with some sweetened vocals from Billy Joe over very pretty guitar during the verses, but then the chorus comes in and kind of slams us a bit. Here's the chorus. It's germane to note that Billy Joe started a record label called Adeline Records back in 1997 and closed it in 2017. With this context, I think it's safe to say that this song is about him saying goodbye to his label. It's an okay song, but for me, isn't one of the strongest. It does have a bit of a guitar solo towards the end, which is kind of cool, but otherwise, I don't think it's terribly that memorable. Song number 8 is called Coma City. This is a bit quicker than Adeline, and it has some of the best playing on the album. Guitar, drums, bass, all sound phenomenal on this one. The last 30 seconds or so of the song are just outstanding. There's even a phaser effect that they throw in, which is a bit unusual for Green Day. And check out Trey's drumming here. Holy cow, it's great. This tune, about as close to a jam type song that they're ever likely to do. Would be cool to hear them do this kind of stretching out on more tunes. I'd love to hear that in the future. This is another one that could be classified as political, as it's about gun violence. Seems that there are many songs coming out these days about guns. Guess there's no surprise there in America. Here's the chorus followed by the second verse. A gunshot heads, shooting in the distance. It's on your face and hands with no resistance. Coma City, pull down the shade, board up the windows, and drink lemonade. Coma City, don't call the cops. Word on the street is they all quit their jobs. Those last two lines could likely be referring to the school shooting in Uvalde, Texas, where the police didn't enter the school when they should have, resulting in more dead kids. It's a powerful song and a reflection of the seemingly endless shootings we experience here in America. Song number 9 is called Corvette Summer, another mid-tempo that starts with the chorus. What's interesting about the sound of this one is that there's an obvious Big Star influence here, especially those verses, which is a good thing. Also, the guitar tone during the chorus has a bit of that big 80s power chord sound to it. If you've heard the guitar from Photograph by Def Leppard, then you know what I'm talking about. Another clear reference on Corvette Summer is to the Beach Boys. From the car and summer-themed song title to the Get Around, I Can Get Around line. Here's the chorus. I don't know what it is about it, but this may be my favorite chorus on the album. It's just so cool. The sound, the melody, the lyrics. I have no idea what the lyrics mean, but I don't really care. So overall, one of the standout songs on Saviors for me. Song number 10 is called Susie Chapstick. A bit of a sweeter vibe on this mid-tempo, very radio-friendly track. Made me instantly think of Fountains of Wayne. Here's the first verse. Will I ever see your face again? Not just photos from an Instagram. Will you say hello from across the street, from a place and time we used to meet? Sometimes everything just grows apart, broken pieces from a busted heart. Not even the drugs seem to work, living in the shadows where we lurk. Seems that Billy Joe is missing someone who used to be close to him. It's a broken heart song. The melodies on this song are super strong, and the whole feeling about it is great. By the way, Susie Chapstick was the name that was applied to Susie Chaffee. She was an Olympic skier from the 1970s that became the spokeswoman for Chapstick Lip Balm. There's no real connection here between her name and the title and the lyrics, other than it seems that Billy Joe is going back to the 70s and 80s quite a bit on this album. There's some nostalgia going on here. The song definitely has that sense of nostalgia about it. Finally, this song ends on a Beatlesque type of chord, which is a really nice touch. I love this song, and it's certainly one of my favorites. Song number 11 is called Strange Days Are Here to Stay. This is some standard Green Day fare, a little faster tempo than Susie Chapstick, but there's little attempt here to give us anything other than middling Green Day. However, the lyrics are some of the better ones on Saviors. Here's one of the choruses. By the way, David Bowie died 8 years ago in 2016. It's about time someone picked up on this "everything went to hell after Bowie died" meme and put it into a song. Other than that, nothing exceptional about this track, except that the melody in the chorus could have been just a little better. It's probably the most skippable track on the album for me. Song number 12 is titled Living in the 20s. This is another really short 2-minute rocker. There's this chord progression during the verses that sounds really familiar to me. It sounds like a progression that would fit comfortably on Dookie. This is also Green Day channeling the Hives in a strong way. Tell me I'm wrong. It's another topical song, and I guess you could interpret it as political. Here's the first verse. Here we get another mention of a shooting. This time I believe it references the Boulder, Colorado King Soopers supermarket shooting from a few years ago. Just as an aside, I remember when that happened. I was only about 5 miles away from that store at the time. Horrendous stuff. Also, that third line about playing with matches and lighting Colorado is likely a reference to the Superior and Louisville, Colorado fire that happened at the end of 2021. This fire is known as the Marshall Fire. Billy Joe has a bite and an anger to his voice, keeping in alignment with the lyrics about how crazy the 2020s have been so far. He does a great job communicating his frustration to us. Another thing to note is that Billy Joe decides to be Dave Grohl at the end of this song with that patented Dave Grohl scream singing. Finally, we get another guitar solo too. Very cool. I like this one quite a bit. I think this is one of the better songs on Saviors. Song number 13 is called Father to a Son. If you've been waiting for a kinder, gentler Green Day song, you get it here. This is the Wake Me Up When September Ends song on Saviors. It starts off with just the acoustic guitar and Billy Joe's vocals again. It even winks at When September Ends by nicking the melody outright at points. We could discount this with cynicism and sheer laziness if it weren't for the fact that When September Ends was written about Billy Joe's father, who died of cancer when Billy Joe was only 10 years old. Billy Joe has 2 sons, and they're both in their 20s, and he's said that this song is for them. In this context, there is an intended connection between these 2 songs, as if there are a song cycle of sorts. Father to a Son is a majestic sounding piece of work with horns and strings thrown in and a soaring chorus with a beautiful melody. There's even a nod to Oasis's Champagne Supernova over the second half of the tune, which I love. Here's the second verse. The lyrics in this song are what you'd expect, no surprises here. Although I have no doubt that Billy Joe's intentions are earnest, I also think that the lyrics could have just been a bit stronger. They just seem a bit lazy to me. However, this is a really good song overall and will likely catch a lot of people's ears with its sentiment and those big melodies. Song number 14, Saviors. This one features Billy Joe's vocals sounding like he's singing into a megaphone during the verses. It's another big bombastic tune, and it seems to be a call to the universe to send us some saviors to get us out of the existential mess we're currently living in. The chorus has a nice melody. The bridge sounds great. The drums sound great. But for some reason, this one doesn't stand out too much for me on this album. It just isn't that memorable when you compare it to some of the other songs. Song number 15 is called Fancy Sauce. This is the last and the longest song on Saviors. Again, we start with acoustic guitar and Billy Joe's vocals, sounding like he's kind of singing a lullaby. It's a bit on the slower side, but it reaches the end when there's this crescendo of sorts. It just sounds like a decent album closer. Let's take a look at the last chorus. That stupid and contagious line is straight from Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana. Otherwise, these lyrics, once more, are just a little lazy, especially those first 3 lines. Look, I don't go to Green Day for Dylan-esque type lyrics, but come on, they could have done a little bit better here. Also, I have no idea how the song title fits in. Fancy sauce? I'm sure there's a meaning there, but it's lost on me. So now let's summarize things a little bit. So let's face it, Green Day is about as a punk as your Aunt Ethel right now. But you know what? I never classified them as true punks after they made Dookie on a major label. I always looked at them as more of these incredibly tight, wonderful song craftsmen that knew what they wanted their band to sound like. Frankly, I always classified them in my head as a rock or a punk pop group, and I still do. All those punk purists didn't understand that Green Day was on an entirely different path from them. I've enjoyed listening to Green Day for many years now, and I've seen them live on 4 separate occasions. They always put on a really fun and a high-energy show. So I consider myself to be a fan, and I root for them every time they put out a new album. This time was no different, and I'm happy to say that, taken as a whole, this is one of the stronger albums they've conjured up. Does it top Dookie or American Idiot? No. But it's fun. It's recorded brilliantly, and I think for a band that's been around for as long as these guys have, it's a strong release for them at this stage in their careers. I think it's going to be a big commercial success for them. I struggled with coming up with a rating on this one because I think Saviors is a bit too derivative, sometimes lyrically lazy, and some of the chorus melodies fall short of what they're capable of. But at the same time, the album sounds honest and heartfelt, and they clearly put a lot of themselves into it. The positives easily outweigh the negatives for me, though, and I really enjoyed most of this album. So I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. Reminder that this is just my opinion. Your mileage may vary, but I really want to know what you guys think of this record. And I want to hear from both the Green Day fans and the Green Day haters out there, because I'm sure there's a few of you watching this video as well. Anyway, thanks everybody. I appreciate you guys watching my videos. I hope you enjoyed this. I know it was a long one. Thanks for sticking with me to the end. Please hit the subscribe or just give me a like. Hit the notifications. I'll see you guys next time.